All right, y'all. We are live on this beautiful, it's not so beautiful, guys. It's a Friday, though. Happy Friday. And we have a very special stream today. We're going to be talking to Sloth Poop. Good old Sloth Poop from the Jason Casper crew, if you're familiar with him at all. We're going to go over his journey, a very, very exciting journey. And I'm very excited to have him on the channel, guys. And as usual, if this stream can get up to 750 likes during the stream, I will be giving away 0.025 Bitcoin. Could be worth a lot by the end of this stream, y'all. It could also be worth nothing, so stay tuned. Shout out to T. Diddy, wants to know how to talk his wife out of a minivan. You know, I am an expert in this area. You know, this is not financial advice, but this is getting out of a minivan advice. And, you know what you have to do? You have to take her to a dealership where the minivans are small and expensive and other SUVs are bigger and cheaper. That's what I did with my wife. Shout out to Mark Dockin, who loves Jason Casper. I love you, Mark Dockin. Shout out to Cam. Market Cipher is the anabolics of crypto trading. And shout out to Crypto Yacht, guys. All of you guys, shout out Crypto Yacht. All right, here we are, live. We are live. And as I was saying, guys, today we have a very special guest in the house. It is Sloth Poop. Sloth Poop, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How are you guys all doing on this Friday, New Year's Eve?
Yeah, I guess it is New Year's Eve, isn't it? And yeah, we got about 100 people in here, guys. So pretty stoked, man. So I have
we got to pump up those likes.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows who this is, who Sloth Poop is. Sloth Poop, he is a cryptocurrency trader. He is in the Jason Casper Discord, and he was sharing his story with me about how he really struggled in the beginning with trading and how he actually started to become profitable and now is a confident trader. And I thought his story would really be able to help a lot of people out here who are struggling in the same way. So I have to ask you, Sloth Poop, first of all, why is your name Sloth Poop?
So Sloth Poop kind of started with so back in the day when I first wanted to stream, this was when Fortnite, because I like playing games, so Fortnite was that's when they started taking off. So I was like, okay, if I wanted to, grab some kind of attention from people, I needed to have some kind of name that stood out. So Sloth being my favorite animal, and then Poop just because no one would ever expect it.
I got you, man. That does kind of make sense. And so, yeah, just a few questions, man. First of all, how did you get into cryptocurrency in general? And then how did you start trading? Not many people will go down this road. So how did you end up down this road?
So crypto actually, like most people, I can't say that I started like, oh, 2017, 2016, one of the early adopters, but I did jump in slightly before everybody else did, or most people did. It kind of happened after the whole GameStop situation with stocks. And when I noticed how easily everything can be manipulated by the SEC, and how they're literally out to support and also protect the big corporations, that's when I felt like, okay, if money can just be played around like this so easily without any type of consequences or repercussions,
Hmm.
maybe I should start looking into something that they can't really control. So that's when I started jumping into the crypto side of things. And then trading wise, I'll be honest, trading wise, it started off with actually watching BitBoy because, BitBoy was there. And then every time I saw things like Market Cipher, Market Cipher, Market Cipher, I was like, this actually looks pretty interesting. It looks pretty self-explanatory. So let me try jumping in on this.
Hmm.
Fell in love with it ever since, despite the huge amount of money that I lost, in the first half.
Yeah,
But,
let's actually talk
it's,
about that a little bit. So
mm,
when you first got into trading, you say you lost a lot of money at first. So what was your
yeah.
experience like? What led to such catastrophic losses, man? Because I feel like a lot of people when they begin,
Hmm.
the losses are
Yeah.
extreme, and it's
Yeah.
not just a little. So.
Okay, so I think the biggest difference that I've noticed with my progression is, and as cliche as it sounds, it really is patience. I always thought I was a super patient person, that I can, separate the emotions from everything else. I mean, for the most of my life, I'd stay logical for the most part, but when it comes to this, oh man, that's a whole different level. So the first trade, I think I was so happy. I was like, oh, 5% profit. Let's close this out. That's better than what any bank can offer me. And I started notating it on a notebook. I'm trying to look for the notebook so I can show you that I actually notated what my entry was, what the percentage of increase was, or whatever. But the biggest problem and what caused the loss was a ton of FOMO, which again, I always thought I could just play it cool, but playing it cool, I always thought I could, but once you're actually in the trade, it's a completely different feel. Your emotions get like all intertwined with the entire process. You start doubting yourself, and I think that's what caused the loss. Either revenge trading, FOMOing, or just yeah, actually that's about it. Yeah, FOMOing just because I don't want to miss it. Yeah.
Yeah, FOMOing, man. And I think that's really interesting because, we were saying before, like the same emotions that cause FOMO and revenge trading are pretty much the same emotions I feel that cause you to basically make every bad decision in your life. And being a trader leaves you uh, with a very clear picture of who you are. It will show you how much of a scumbag you are, and expose so many
Very true.
weaknesses in your character because really the same things that are driving FOMO and revenge trading are going to be driving things like bad diet, bad sleep habits, bad work ethic, bad relationships, and it's almost a very spiritual thing. As a believer in God myself, I find a lot of spiritual parallels. So, do you agree with this, man?
No, I absolutely agree. It's not. I mean, it's a like I said. I think it's this is one of those things where it's a very clear. Oh, better, easier said than done.
Hmm.
When you're in that seat, it's so different. I mean, it's and I think so. One thing that I've noticed is that I mean, taking it slightly outside of trading, once you actually like learn to control your emotions in this aspect, you realize that you can actually use this same technique and have that same skill, use that same skill with everything else in your life. It's like the whole perspective of life kind of just changes. I'm not saying this is like a life-changing experience where it's like, oh, now I'm seeing ghosts here and there, but I think it helps you be a lot more responsible with every aspect of your life. If you decide to, adapt and, or adopt this new technique or skill set that you learn from trading. So yeah, no, it's definitely a lot more, it's a lot more spiritual. It's not as yeah, it's not as black and white as people would assume, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely character building here because especially our days in our generation, and I don't know how old you are, but
Yeah.
I'm 30, which is old, and you know, I we all grew up with instant gratification, right? Like you don't have
Yeah.
to hunt your food, you don't even have to cook your food. You just put it in the microwave or whatever, or have it delivered to your door. And so we're so used to uh, constant dopamine triggers, and so when you take that kind of mindset that you've developed over the years and now bring it into this environment, a lot of times it can be catastrophic. And so it's
Mhm.
definitely I've noticed as well. What it is a very life changing experience, man. So when you were trading and you were flopping and groping, as Crypto Face says,
Yeah. Hmm.
what was the turning point? First of all, how did you identify your problem, and then how did you go about finding a solution? What did you do?
Um, so I want to say that I get the direction that I took could be a little dangerous for some people because I think it could be borderline denial. So well, I stayed very consistent with continuously learning. And I'll be completely honest. I'm not trying to shill you. I'm not trying to like, kiss your butt or anything like that. But 100%, I firmly believe in it. Your course is one of the most helpful things that I've ever come across. I've had a couple pro traders try to help me out. I was fortunate enough to, befriend some of them from, after jumping into the crypto side. My career technically right now, for now, is luxury, is some kind of luxury. So a lot of my clients are also in that kind of upper echelon of things. So I actually start talking to a lot of them about things like this. So I get a lot of tips and advices here and there and help from some people. But to be honest, like your course really, really helps out. If you stick to just like you say all the time, I mean, if you stick to the plan, if you stick to your strategy, if you trust, your overall structure, I mean, everything for the most part will come out well. What I did was, despite the loss after loss, I think like in the first probably like half a year to about 6 months or so, it was just a back to back to back to back loss. I mean, if you look at my history with Bybit, it was just red after red. There might be a couple greens here and there from being profit, but those greens are nothing. They're so minimal that it doesn't balance out the overall thing. So like I think my account was a negative balance for the longest time. I ended up treating every loss as just another tuition fee for me to learn the
Hmm.
how to master trading or become a profitable trader. Eventually, I kind of just thought, okay, I'm gonna lose this money, but if I'm confident that I'm going to be able to come out on top, if I'm going to be able to ultimately learn this, if I know that I can be disciplined enough to actually push through correctly, then I'm just going to treat this as a very, very expensive lesson, which that turned out to be true, thank God. Because now I've not only, made back my loss, I'm also, decent amount in profit. I mean, it could be better, but at this point, in my mindset and my technically emotions is very, very kind of just bleh. I don't care as much. I don't worry as much. If I miss a trade, I miss a trade. Just like what everybody else says, it's the market's there tomorrow. So if I miss a 50% pump today, so be it. I'll be there for the next 50%.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it is. My mindset was like every penny that I lose was part of the tuition. But again, just like I mentioned earlier, it's a very slippery slope. At a certain point, you do have to stop. I was actually telling myself after I think deposited like 5 different times, like from my bank account to Bybit, if I still can't grasp it and if I still can't control it, that was going to be it. I was close to it. I think I was on number 4. I was very close to it because I knew that at a certain point, if I start throwing every penny that I have, that's when it becomes addiction, and
Right.
I didn't want to go down that road.
Yeah, it is a very fine line, like you say, and it is very interesting. First of all, thank you for showing my course. I'll pay you after the stream for saying
Yeah, the last half, please. Yeah.
that. Yeah, man. But no, I'm really glad that you found value in it. That makes me feel like I've accomplished what I set out to accomplish with it. But so as far as do you feel that you have systematized your trading in a way where you can come to the charts and you're able to control the FOMO? You brought up something that was a really important point. The markets will always be there tomorrow. This is something that I struggled with really when I first started trading too, because we always feel like we always need to be in a trade. We feel like if we don't get this pump, then that's it. We're gonna miss out, which nothing could be further from the truth. And if we're not in a trade and we're not exposing ourselves to risk, we have to look at that as we're already putting ourselves in an advantageous situation. And then if the next day, if we miss the 50% move and then we catch a 1% move, we also have to look at that as a victory, because first of all, we can't be a slave to this unless we had an awesome trading bot that could trade for you.
Yeah.
Wink, everybody, coming soon.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's like if the goal is to make money over time, then we cannot allow ourselves to be a slave to that feeling that we're missing out. So when you come to the charts now, what are the steps you take to control your emotions and trade in a way that's actually profitable? What is your routine? Do you have a routine? What does that look like?
Okay, so actually, since we're on this point about like that, catching a 1%, missing the 50% thing, do you mind if I share something real quick on my chart?
Please do.
So I'll be honest, my chart's not fully done, because I'm a very lazy person. Just to let you guys know, I'm a super lazy person. If I don't have to walk anywhere, I'm not gonna walk anywhere. If I don't have to do anything, I'm not gonna do anything. If I'm gonna post, if I can postmate something, I will postmate something instead of going out to eat. My kitchen is like spotless because I don't cook, so it looks like a model home. But for me, like, when it comes to like after work, when I get home, a lot of times I know, okay, redoing the charts is gonna take a lot of time, so I'm gonna, I'll push that aside for a little bit. But let me kind of show this real quick. So this is my chart. It's not. I took out a lot of things, so I have like everything here that I kind of, because I don't want it to look too messy. So I took out like the day, the weekly, support or resistance levels. I think I'm missing something because I have a huge gap over here. But let me switch over to the 1 hour time frame, and I'm actually just gonna do this. So yesterday, or the day before, you actually gave out a trade around this level, so like low 36s, 3.6 for ETH. Sorry guys, just real quick, I don't trade Bitcoin anymore. I feel like I don't have that connection with Bitcoin, so I just gave it up. I might jump back into it later on, but I actually like ETH a lot more for myself. Maybe because it moves a lot quicker. I don't know. But also you run into that risk of losing a lot more, a lot quicker too, if you end up doing things incorrectly. So I'm going to take out market Cipher B. So these are the levels that I generally keep on my chart. So the white ones are just going to be key levels that I have some kind of confluence. I write it down on the side here, just to kind of show. And then the fibs, everything else I completely turn off. I also have zones like this. So the next, for me, just real quick, the next spot that I'm looking at is here. I already have a reminder, and I already have a buy order set for the trade. I don't mind it wicking all the way down to here, but I'll get an alert and I'll be able to watch it a little bit better. Okay, so back to this trade. So like here, it's funny because I actually had a limit buy or long at 36.11 just in case. And it wicked, that first wick right here, I think wicked straight down to like 10 and then wicked down below. So when it wicked, I was in about 12% profit because I'm at 10x leverage. So it's still pretty high, which gets a little dangerous. And the way I trade 100% of my portfolio at 10x, but I won't risk more than 5% of the total. So I guess I'll have a 5% stop loss for the most part. So what happened was it wicked it picked up the order, and then it shot back up to about 12%. I closed out 25% of the portfolio, which ended up netting, I mean, not much. And then I put a stop loss immediately at my entry. I didn't care that it could zig and zag. For me, it's kind of like, okay, if I'm already in some kind of profit, I'm going to stay that way. I'm not going to play with this at all, because that's when you start losing money. That's one thing that I realized. if you're very diligent about setting your stop loss, you will never lose money. I mean, yes, you might not gain as much as you would want to, but you're never going to lose money. And guess what?
Right.
The next candle, it wicked straight to my stop loss, and I lost out on, let's just say, if we really want to measure it out, I mean, at the peak, 57% profit, right? Because this was a 5.7% move. But guess what? I didn't get to benefit from that. And I'm at the point where I don't really, I mean, yeah, I would love to, but guess what? I would rather not risk this actually going down in the downward direction than for me to gamble at this point that it will go up. I think the biggest thing that people kind of have to understand is that um, this, if you're trying to trade and if you're really trying to turn this into a full-time thing, which that's my goal. I actually have like a 5-year plan, set. But if this is something that you want to do as a full-time thing, you can't be butthurt about losing this small little trade and only gaining what for me, I guess technically that would be 2.5% of my total portfolio. It's if we backtrack like 4 or 5 months ago, I would have jumped straight in and be like, oh no, I missed this trade. It closed me out. I'm gonna jump right back in again here at the bottom and then write this up. But the biggest problem that I used to have too is, and I know a lot of people have this issue, is taking profit, which will end up being I will lose out on all this 57% profit because I don't want to take it because it can always go up more, and then it's going to come crashing down and potentially just come back down this way, and I'm not going to have a stop loss because I'm going to have that mindset like, oh no, it's going to come back up, it's going to come back up. I know we've all gone through that, and then it's just going to keep going down lower and lower and lower, and at 10x leverage I'm going to get liquidated with my entire portfolio, so I think at the end of the day, even though it's 2.5% profit, you can't go broke taking profit, right?
Yeah, totally.
And you can't go, and I think what is that people say is the perseverance of your wealth is more important than whatever that saying is. But either way, I mean, if you can hold on to your money and you don't end up losing it, you won't go broke that way. But you do go broke if you start gambling and assuming and putting your emotions into this and thinking, hey, it could go up. You're absolutely right, but it could very, very, very much easily go the opposite way that you think. I think, I mean, as far as the market goes, sorry guys, short story long. This is how I'm going to be talking. So this is going to be about a 16-hour session. I hope you guys are all hydrated and ready to go.
It's gonna be the New Year's
But
Eve 24-hour special.
yeah, yes, absolutely. Put your headphones in because you might use a toilet. You don't want to miss any part of this. But at the end of the day, the market is geared towards, and this is actually a saying. I'm gonna have to say it's not from me. It's from a really dear friend of mine. The market is geared towards maximum loss, right? This whole game is an emotional roller coaster for most people. The moment people feel like the moment the mass majority feel like Bitcoin's going to zero, that's when everything's gonna pump. The moment people feel like, oh, Bitcoin's hitting 100K, 200K, 300K, that's when everything's gonna start diving down. The point is, when you make money, somebody's gonna have to lose money. When you lose money, somebody's making that money. So, it's when you start adding emotions to this, you become part of that group, that 99% that's meant to lose in this cycle. So I guess if you can kind of get that ingrained into your head, like, hey, emotions in this case is bad. You want to stick to a very black and white, like, hey, is this a good trade? Great. If it's not, so be it. I mean, I've missed so many trades before, not because it wasn't a good trade, but because I knew I didn't have the time and the attention that I could give at that specific moment. I would rather not gamble, even though I was like, oh, I'm pretty confident this is going to work. But if I can't pay attention to it and I can't stop it when I really need to stop it, if it goes the complete opposite direction, then I'd rather not jump into it. Because again, the market's there tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you're right. The saying "preservation of capital" is the number one step to making money.
There you go. That's
like
you hit the bullseye right there.
I think I got it wrong too. Actually, I think
it's okay. It's okay.
But
It's okay, chat. That's exactly what it is.
It's funny because
Yeah, but
while
sorry,
you
go
were
ahead.
saying all this, I actually had a stop loss that just got hit for Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I had hit my take profit one, and then I just got stopped out back at my entry with essentially. Well, it was actually not a bad gain because I actually took 50% out at TP1 because I wasn't too confident. But yeah, man, it's like
And
if
go
I had
broke
been
with
greedy
profit.
trying to hold that position because it was a pretty big position. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I would have been in a loss right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that and
But
that's
I'm in
when
a gain. What and you know people always it is funny, you know, on YouTube people look at some of my trades and in the comments they're like, "Oh, that you know, how's that trade going now for you?" Right? Like I'm long and then like a few hours later like the market dumps, people are like, "Oh, how'd that turn out for you now?" It's like, "Well, it turned out
yeah.
pretty good cuz you know, we took profit out, stop loss of the entry. It was good." You know?
Yeah, you know, isn't that what the crypto face calls like pencil necks?
Yeah, yeah, those are pencil necks. Yeah, I guess
I mean,
so.
there's
I'm a
always going to
pencil
be
neck in a
people
lot
who
of ways, you know.
but you know, there's always going to be, unfortunately, there's always going to be people who are going to try and put you down no matter what, especially as a big time influencer like yourself. But I think
Super
at the end of
famous,
the day,
bro.
you know, just to let you know, like personally, like you've helped me, and I know you've helped so many people with like turn their lives around. That you know, there's no words can express the gratitude that we have for you. So, you know, please keep doing what you're doing because whatever you're doing, I mean, I'm I know you're 100% going places and we will be following you every step of the way because that's you're pretty much our religion that we're following.
That's kind of creepy, man. I have to say, don't follow me, follow the Lord. And if I can help anybody in any way, then you know that's a huge blessing, and it's a humbling thing to hear you say that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, of course, of course. But yeah, sorry. So was that that was a again short story long. Hopefully that kind of wasn't too crazy, but
No, I like that, man. So you have a system. You know when to trade, when not to trade. You have the levels you're looking for. And do you have any favorite trading strategies that you like to do? Are you a scalper, swing trader? Like, you know.
So I don't quite like scalping because I again, you know, I don't have much time to scalp. I would rather see the, double, triple digit, profit percent wise. Rather than, just playing with like 5-10% at like high leverage.
Hmm.
Because for me, you know, like I said, I know like for you, now that you've been doing a lot more like scalping, you do very high leverage
Right.
at, risking very low amount of your total portfolio. I've tried dabbling with that. Well, I just kind of looked into it. I never really like actually tried. I just looked into it and calculated, and I was like, no, I'm still too greedy for me to want to do that. I'd rather just have like 100% of my portfolio on. But because I have so much on the line, there are times when my mind's telling me like, oh, just go up to 15x, 15x. It's okay. You'll be okay. But you know, that's another part of the discipline. Not a single time have I traded above 10x with 100% of my portfolio because I know this is my system. If this is what I'm comfortable with, if I start straying away from it, regardless if it's more or less, that's when problems could come up. And most likely, if I'm going to stray from it, it's going to be towards that greedier side, the 15, 20, 25x. And if I end up doing that, I mean, at that point, I can lose out my entire portfolio that I've put in so much work into building within 10 minutes, and I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
um yeah.
The most demoralizing feeling in the world is applying good risk management and strategy and growing your account over the course of weeks or even months and then blowing a huge chunk of that in minutes, right? We've definitely all been there. And,
Yeah.
you know, it really just, it's like, it goes back to the fact that it's the discipline and it's the patience that makes you a good trader, and it's because anybody can learn technical analysis. I mean, anybody can, right? It's not too difficult to pull a fib and look at some butt cheeks, but it is difficult to
True.
apply the discipline and the self control to yourself in order to
Hmm.
not take a trade, right? In order to let the market move and you're not FOMOing it, right? To
Yeah.
not use 15x leverage when you know you're only supposed to use 10x because you could lose
Hmm.
everything. And
Yeah.
it's that again, that dopamine addiction that we all have, the instant gratification that we're all used to. We need to cut that out. And I believe it'll help you in all aspects of life. It's definitely helped
Sure.
me. Um,
For
but yeah,
sure.
bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how many people here. Well, I would assume most of your audience does some kind of trading, regardless if it's spot trading or whatever. To this day, I'm still not sure what spot trading is, but I'm just gonna throw that out there, like I know what I'm talking about. But I
Cool,
feel
man.
like yeah, it is one of those things where like when you pay so much attention to the charts and you go through the actual emotions part of it firsthand. It's funny because like just like you said, you can apply this to all aspects of your life. You start seeing, or at least for me, I start seeing correlations between trading and certain things in life, and I'm like, oh, like if I was trading something here, this is how I would approach it. So that's how I'm gonna approach it now because it just makes sense. I'm taking out the emotions out of it, treating it as a very black and white thing. Like, is it a good idea or is it not? And just use logic. And for the most part, I mean, it works out quite well. Oh, and also sorry because I just saw in the chat. Where was it? Somebody asked if I was in a shopping mall. No, I'm not on the second floor of a shopping mall, but this is my room here. I just rather not show it because it's very bland. There's nothing going on back there.
Do you have a
So
gym
instead,
in the
I have this
background?
background. Yes, actually, yeah, I'm at the same LA Fitness that Jason's at.
Nice, man.
But I'm in a different bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Hope you're not in the girls' locker room, bro.
No, no, no. I'm just in the not so swole,
It's not so
locker
swole.
room.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Entry level.
I guess
Yeah.
yeah, they divide it up by
Yeah.
swollenness nowadays.
Yep.
But yeah, man. So how do you feel about the charts currently? Like, we're at a weird place, right? It's literally the last day of the year. We're in the
Hmm.
middle of a downtrend. Bitcoin and Ethereum has been ranging for the past well, really since for the past month. We've been in sideways markets. We come to support, get a bounce, resistance, get a rejection. What are your vibes, bro? To use a very technical term here, for the upcoming
Okay.
year. And are you bullish or bearish or neutral right now?
So I mean, ultimately, I mean, because I guess it's all relative, right? As far as like time goes, I'm not gonna go down that route, like, oh, everything's relative. But I think like in the long run, so let's say like for the next probably like 2 3 months, I'm 100% bullish. However, in the midterm, if we're talking about within the next 30 days or so, here, I guess I'll kind of share. So just to let you guys know, this is how I do my TA. It's nothing crazy. Like, Jay has, Jason has like, I mean, here, the difference between his chart, this is my chart, and this is his chart, right? So his chart, when you add everything to it, well, actually, I didn't even add everything because you have this little category called pitchforks, which to me is kind of like, oh my gosh, like that's insane.
Well,
I
I'm a
mean,
farmer, bro. I'm out here
yeah,
spreading
I
manure all
know.
day with a pitchfork.
It is.
I mean,
It is. So like you draw trend lines. Like I don't do that. To be honest with you, I keep it very, very plain and simple for me. So I focus on three things. Okay, so let me jump to the daily or something like that. Okay, so I focus on three things, and I'll pull up the object tree. The volume. So I pull it with that the fixed range. I pull the fibs, and then the naked point of controls that I kind of just copy from Jason's chart, and then obviously the support resistance levels for month, week, and day. So that's all I do. I don't do anything more than that. The different fibs, I mean, so for example, if I was to close out, now I'm not going to close anything out. I'll just make it a little bit more confusing. So if I was to pull out like fibs, I just have like, okay, so the current market or the current trend, small little local trend, I'll have this that's going to be a little bit more. Sorry. Oh, yeah. So it extends all the way back down to 2600. So the previous big pump up all the way to the all-time high. So the next part of it, not so local, and then this one even more local, and then I have that big one all the way down from like 17, yeah, 1715, which is the low from that from September, I think, or no, July. So that's all I do. I pull the fibs, and then I have all this, the point of controls. I have the volumes with the value, VAH, VAL, POC, and then I just kind of just whatever crosses each other, I just, draw with a white line and say, oh, this has some kind of confluence.
Right.
Now, your question, let's go back to that, I guess. Your question is, how do I feel about the market? So to be honest, like if we're gonna take a look, like if we really want to talk like weeks or whatever, I mean, the weekly looks like, I mean, if the purple, stochastic RSI, I mean, it's still showing that we're overbought. We have, bearish divergence on the weekly, but again, this is such a big time frame that, I feel like we haven't fully played it out yet, but I think again, not financial advice. You don't want to take financial advice from someone with a name that has poop in it. And look at this, like my pimple, that's from stress from trading. But anyway, so like I feel like, I don't think we're gonna dip lower than a 3 for ETH. Again, I don't trade Bitcoin, so I'm not gonna tell you anything about Bitcoin because I haven't taken a look at that chart in probably like a month or two. But for here, like I said, I have the buy order here at the 34, like high 34 range, just because I feel like even if that's not the bottom, it is going to have some kind of bounce because it has such heavy confluence,
Right.
and some heavy supports there. But if we're gonna look at, so again, the weekly, I think we're gonna come down a bit. Now, the good thing is, I guess, it doesn't seem like the actual volume or the VWAP is too negative. I mean, it is kind of slightly pointing down,
Yeah, it's
but
not looking
I
so
think
a little floppy woppy going on there.
yeah, I think we still got time for it to kind of turn back around. If we look at the daily, I mean, that's a whole different story now. Now for the daily, the momentum's all the way at the bottom. It looks like we're about to clip bullish divergence over here if this persists. So that's what I'm hoping, that before this clips, this wicks one more time down to about 34, 34.7 or whatever, and then I can be a billionaire after that.
Yeah.
If we look at even like smaller time frames at 4 hours, it seems like yeah, everything's curving back down. So I think in the short to midterm, it seems like I don't think this is helpful at all. But I think in the short to midterm, like if we're talking about the next couple of weeks, we are going to play in this range for a little bit longer. I don't know if we're really going to get out of this past that 4.2, 4.3K kind of range. But at least, I think, if we look at the monthly, which isn't much for Bybit, if we really, really look close at that momentum, I mean, we were so close to clipping that green dot. And I mean, the two waves are still not too far away from each other, so I feel like there's still a chance for us to kind of clip it, and then kind of move forward. But yeah, I think next year is going to be great. It's just in the short to midterm, expect a little bit more drop. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I have to give a
Thanks.
shout out. I have to give a shout out
Yeah,
to
Jason Casper.
Jason Casper with the super chat. Thank you so much, bro. Appreciate the tip, man. And yeah, I'm gonna do my best over here to continue on with the good content. And so let's get back over here to Sloth Poop's chart. And so yeah, bro. So I really appreciate you having you on the channel, man. I think you bring a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course, man. It's always good to have a community member with a good success story. So yeah, for everybody out there, Sloth Poop, if you're in the VIP Discord, you can find him in there. And yeah.
One last thing, sorry if you don't mind. So for just to let you guys know who I am, I'm nobody. I'm not a content creator of any sort. I'm not. Well, obviously, I wasn't paid to do this type of shilling
That's what
for
a
his
shill would
course.
say, bro.
Yeah, that is what a shill would say. But I'm just a regular person who just decided to trade and then somehow came across, Jason Casper's course and then everything else on top of that. So I'm just a normal person who tried to stay consistent as much as possible. So if I can do it, if I can actually completely change my whole approach, in a more beneficial way when it comes to trading, I know anybody else can. So take that with that's my 2 cents. Take it as you wish, but I'm not some super genius who's like, oh yeah, I can learn this super quickly. I think anybody can do this as long as you have that drive and that and that what's it called? And that control or discipline to kind of to take your emotions out of it. Once that thing's out, you will. I mean, it's smooth sailing from then on. Then on out. It's not going to be 100% of the time that you're always going to be profit, but even when you're at a slight loss, when you have that proper risk management, you're not going to be too butthurt about it because the market's always there tomorrow.
Cool, man. Yeah, I think you're right, and you're right. Anybody can do this. If I can do it, and you can do it, anybody can do it. It really just comes down to you have to make a covenant with yourself and say, I'm going to stick to my principles, my morals and ethics when it comes to trading, so to speak.
Yep. Yep.
Right? And go for it. But all right, Sloth Poop, man, I really appreciate having you on the channel. That's it, guys. We're going to head out. And yeah, everybody have a happy, healthy new year.
Yep.
And we will see you guys. Well, I will see. I don't know about Sloth Poop. Maybe we'll have him back on. Well, I'll definitely see y'all